just want to talk about this real quick. I know you're all probably sick and tired of seeing this, but I am just going to cover it briefly. This happened like a few days after the previous stream, so we didn't talk about it then. But I do want to just quickly go over Christoper Anderson's photojournalist who did the recent Vanity Fair photo shoot for the Trump administration people, right? Now, I want to caveat this by saying, I know some of you are rolling your eyes going, Jesus Christ, yeah, I mean, I get it. If you switch off, it's fine. But I do want to really reiterate here that I don't have a horse in this race. I'm not American. I have so little regard for every politician, regardless of what color they are, that this is not going to be about politics. I want to be looking at this as a purely photographic standpoint, and that is it. I'm not going to be imprinting any ideas on it, but I am going to be covering what I think some of the photographic intent was behind this and how this ended up. So those of you not aware, a few weeks ago, Vanity Fair did a piece on the Trump administration. They sent Christoper Anderson in there, very famous photojournalist. Let's just bring up some of these shots here. Oh Christ, Vanity Fair posts a lot of shit. Let's have a look. Jesus. Okay, here we go. So, yeah, so here we go. Trump's in a circle, right? And he was, Christoper Anderson was sent in to do it. So, I don't know how long he had in there, probably a few hours, right? And, you know, these are some of the shots that he captured. And we're going to go over these in a little bit more detail in a second. But just in case some of you somehow managed to avoid this, I'm just going to show you some of the shots that he took. Okay. So it's an interesting choice. Questionable for sure. Certainly some eyebrows raised at the intent behind this. But there we go. It's pretty much the whole thing, and you get the idea. Okay, you get the idea. So, who is this guy who took the shots? And Christoper Anderson is actually a very famous photojournalist, and he was originally part of Magnum Photos, right? Those of you who don't know, I mean, you must know. Magnum Photos is like by far and away the most famous agency that there's ever been, right? And if you don't know, you really need to educate yourself about Magnum Photos. Long and short of it is, anybody in my mind who was working for Magnum Photos is worth at least hearing out, right? Oh, you know, all the greats from a million years ago, from year dot, have been a part of Magnum Photos. And, you know, I think Christoper Anderson was, I think, like went in with the 1st Battalion there in the Gulf or whatever, photographing the front lines. He's done a ton of pieces. I think he also did a very poignant piece on immigrants coming over in the boats and that sort of stuff, and he was on the boat that was sinking, and there's some very famous shots of his from back then. He's been doing it a long time, and it's, you know, certainly earned his stripes. This is not just some young kid who was sent into the White House just to record what he saw, right? Now, the argument was at the time, after seeing these, was the fact that, you know, everybody quoted it as a hit piece. He went in there to kind of make the White House administration look bad, and he definitely did, right? I mean, there's no two ways about the fact that these images are not flattering at all, right? They're not. Like, it's you know, it's not this is fucking wild, right? This is absolutely wild, right? This is probably what they're expecting, right? This is probably what they're expecting, and this is fine. This is probably what they're expecting, and then they got these as well. Okay, so some crazy images in here, and a lot of people were, like I said, slagging him off and saying hit piece and that sort of stuff as well. And to a certain extent, I can kind of see where they're coming from, but at the same time, I feel that whoever allowed Christoper in there should have known better, right? And it would have taken them 2 minutes on Google to find or look at his work to know that these crazy close-up images of people is, what, a lot of his work is kind of like that, right? He's got these very close-up images. I don't think he's even got them on Instagram. I don't even think you need to go too far to see them, right? Maybe not as close, but yeah, like a lot of his work is like that. Not only that, but where is it? I'm just trying to see. He released a book. So this is on Magnum Photos. So Christoper Anderson released a book called Stump. And I'm just going to scroll through some of the images from this book. Are you starting to see a similarity, right? So you can go, oh, yeah, hit piece or whatever, but this was the work. He literally has a book of this same type of work. Am I a huge fan of it? No, it's not for me. But I think anybody who sent him in there or knew that he was going in, like, should have expected this. Like, he didn't just go in there. It's not like me going in there and shooting this and then going, what the hell? We were not expecting that. Like, it's literally got a book on politicians, like, absolutely filling the frame, right? So absolutely, that's what you're going to expect from him. The other argument was that, we got here, famously, this young lady here is 28. She doesn't look 28 here, sadly, but she's got, lip filler injections and that sort of stuff. And people going, oh my God. So I'm a professional photographer going in and not retouching these images, right? Like, that's not what photojournalism is, So here, right, so this is, what do we got? June 25th, 2025, The Ethics of Photo Manipulation, What is Acceptable in Modern Press Photography. So he is a photojournalist, he's going in and he's doing that, and like, these are the kind of boundaries that he's allowed to work around. He's certainly not allowed to go in and Photoshop stuff, right? So basic exposure compensation, fine, yep. Color balance and white balance, we're going to come to that. Crop for composition, okay, we can kind of talk about that, but an example of this is like a street scene, and like a photojournalist would be entitled to maybe crop it in a little bit tighter, to maybe crop out a couple of like plastic bags and rubbish on the side of the road. A little bit hazy, right? A little bit hazy as to whether that's fair, but it's within the legal ramifications of photojournalism. You are allowed to crop, right? Noise reduction, lens correction, so stuff that we would use, lens correcting Lightroom and stuff like that. And then removal of dust, stains, sensor artifacts. So this would be dust on the sensor. So this is stuff that you need to fix from your lens or your sensor and that sort of stuff. So like, he's not allowed to go in there and Photoshop out these marks, right? That's he's literally not allowed to do that as part of the rules, right? The other thing here is we have people going, oh my God, look, a professional photographer would have airbrushed out the whatever the fuck this is in the White House, right? There's obviously been painted over several times. They've just spot painted it. We've got all these plug sockets and stuff hanging out here, and people are going, well, it's absolutely crazy. He should have removed that and that sort of stuff. He's literally not allowed to. He really isn't allowed to. Now, I guess you could crop in to remove that stuff, fine. But where it gets kind of hazy to me, right? Where it gets kind of hazy to me is going to be, like, he is lighting from below here, right? Now, those of us who shoot in the studio with supplemental lighting and that sort of stuff, we know that you shouldn't really light somebody from below. And we're not talking about a fill light here. A fill light is maybe a softbox on the floor, fine. Okay, we can, we can add a little bit of fill light, soften up some of the shadows underneath. We can kind of see that, but this light is below the 9 o'clock and 9 o'clock mark here, right? It is definitely below the eye level, and he's using a hard light from below. So this is kind of cheeky, right? That is kind of cheeky. This is an experienced guy. You can't tell me he doesn't know what he's doing there, right? Here as well, definitely a little bit below the eye level. So not here. We don't have catch lights underneath it here. I think we do have it here, right? Again, definitely just below the eye level, right? Now, the other thing here as well is going to be, we mentioned here as well about adjustments to color balance and white balance. So this was something else that was kind of interesting, that there's definitely a choice being made here, right, with some of these colors. This is blue, right, to you guys as it's blue to me. Let's have a look. Just open up Photoshop here, and this is probably a good opportunity to mention that they've actually added color and vibrance. So they've actually added white balance into regular Photoshop here. So if you just go into the adjustment panel down here, you can actually add a color and vibrance, but that's not the point here, right? So like here we can see, sure, we probably need to just use basic. Let's just use even more basic than that. Brightness, just bring that down a little bit. Like there is a definite, in my opinion, probably it seems like an intentional move to make it colder, right? Certainly colder. And this is not just a color grade. This is white balance and that sort of stuff. So that's one thing there, right? The other one here that was kind of interesting was this, right? Now, those of you a little bit more experienced, maybe in post pro and that sort of stuff, like this horrendous skin blotchiness, texture and stuff here, right? Again, this is kind of borderline intentional, right? Now, we know what this is. I've just put male headshot raw here. Let's just open this image in a new tab here. Let's just copy this image. So we can kind of do a similar sort of thing here. We can go, if we want to convert this to black and white, so we just bring in the black and white here, and this is typically found in the red channel, right? This kind of, almost darkening, like the red channel to give this kind of horrendous effect to the skin, yeah, and it's kind of pretty much going out of your way to get that kind of look, right? Horrendous, absolutely horrendous. Now, again, purposeful, but at the same time, and his defense, like anybody with spent 2 minutes on the internet could have found that. Look, here you go. He's done it on other people as well, right? So it's not something that he's just targeted the White House with there. I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying that, like, right? This is not something that this gentleman has probably got framed on a wall above his TV, right? So yeah, I think there's a lot that was gone on here that was within his normal style. I think that if you didn't want that, you shouldn't have invited him in, right? Like I said, it would have taken you 2 minutes to see that that was the sort of work that he was going to produce, and you really shouldn't be too surprised that any of these shots were captured by him. Is he telling a story with it? For sure, right? He's saying that these are certainly real people. They're not not airbrushed. They like I tell you that's the red channel, because that you can see it's actually starting to be almost solarized there. That black spot is almost starting to be solarized. It's really been pushed. So yeah, I think if you didn't want those images, you shouldn't have asked him in. Did he do his job? Yeah, he did. Yeah. And like, can he Photoshop them? No, he can't. Can he remove plug sockets and repaint the wall? No, he can't. Like, if the fucking lighthouse didn't, if the White House didn't want these images to look as bad as they did, then let he paint the room, for Christ's sake. Like, how much is it really going to cost you? With the greatest respect, I'm sorry, but to give some of these rooms a coat of paint, Where was that horrendous one of that guy stood there? Like, fucking paint the room, for Christ's sake. Don't invite a photographer in to do a photo shoot and then just be like, oh my god, yeah, the place looks like a shithole. Like, yeah, like, just paint it. Like, I don't know what you want to, So anyway, like I said, I didn't want to spend too long on that. I just wanted to kind of. A lot of people were kind of going, he should have done this and he should have done that. Like, this is his style. Whether you like it or not, that's what you were going to get, right? This is what you were going to get, So I'm sorry if that's what you got and you were pissed off. You've only got yourself to blame, really. Yeah. Now, obviously, Vanity Fair knew what they were doing. It's whether how much say the White House had in who they had in there, right? But I would presume that they would have okayed Christoper Anderson to come in. They would have had to have done, yeah. Anyway, like I said, I know I'm late to that. I'm not going to get political about it. I just wanted to come at it from a purely photographic standpoint and kind of outline some of the things that he's doing within the bounds of photojournalism, like the color balancing, right? Questionable. I don't know what it was shot on. So this was an image pulled from Christoper Anderson's assistant, I think. This is a BTS kind of a story at the time. And I think this is like an old Contax 545 and that sort of thing. And it definitely looks like it's got a film back on there, because I think that's the ISO dial. But a lot of those images look like the quality of digital. So again, I'm not sure what they were shot on. But I don't know, that looks digital to me. It looks very, very sharp for film. But, this was the only evidence I could find of the camera equipment on the day. One tactic that film cameras like this are used for, to the ill-informed person on the day, is that you can say, look, I'm shooting film, you can't see it. Right? So it's kind of a way to get out of the, can I see the shots? No, you can't. Because like, shot on film, sorry. But I don't. I could be wrong. But I just don't feel like this is shot on film. Yeah, I could be wrong. But this is a great way of getting out of the, I want to see the images. Sorry, it's film. You can't. Yeah. Stephen Miller is pictured with no catchlight and reflection in the eyes and looks like a mugshot. Yeah, so like, you're right. Like, some of these don't have any catchlights at all. So boom, yeah, like very, very heavy side light. Yeah, no catchlights at all. I saw a video talking about all the backgrounds being off center, crops being slightly off, and not edited light switches all being very purposeful. There is a ton of speculation and that sort of stuff as well. Like, he could have, technically he's allowed to straighten the images, of course, right? But he chose not to. Yeah, maybe his clam was upside down. Alan's talking about the clamshell lighting. True. Yeah, it looks like a beauty dish though. No, like with the spot in the middle. I doubt he's using a rotolite there with the dot in the middle. But yeah, my guess is that's a beauty dish. We can also see here, we got the light stand here as well. We have like an umbrella likely being used as the key, which we can kind of see just up there as well. Yeah. Barely any life at all. Yeah, so the White House hired him without looking at his work and then complained. I have very little sympathy, I'm afraid. Like I said, Vanity Fair, based on Vanity Fair's feed, they certainly have an agenda. So I would say that Vanity Fair knew what they were doing, but he would have had to have been vetted and okayed by the White House. So in my opinion, they didn't want that. They shouldn't have let him in. Yeah. I love this rebellious in a way. I mean, it is rebellious, but at the same time, that's what he shoots. Like, he's not going in there and like doing anything. Like I said, it's not like I went in there and shot this. It would be like, what the fuck? Jake's never shot anything like this before. The guy literally releases books of this stuff. Reflection of the Disheveled Way, subjects operate. They're not bad photos. Photos of bad people. I mean, this is real people, right? This is like, warts and all. This is like they're just normal people, right? People put politicians up on pedestals, but they're not. They're just normal people. Now, did they hire him or did Vanity Fair like they just assume a photographer rocked up? Don't know who it was per se. Agree, Trevor. Yeah, I would, but it's the White House. You can't just let anybody in. Like this guy would have been 100% vetted. There's just no way. They invited CA in the day after the government shutdown ended. They invited CA. Yeah, White House, Yellow House, yeah, right. Not my style, yeah. Well, someone let him in, but who? Agreed, Alan. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, comedy gold, creepy people. I mean, this is great for Vanity Fair. Like this will sell more magazines. They will sell so many magazines off of this. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. We mentioned the Vogue front cover from Annie Leibovitz a couple of streams ago of that guy from June on the front, right? They fucking love that shit. They sold more magazines than they have in like a generation, like it's good. It's good business, right? He's made a career out of that style. If I did it, I'd never get approached again. I agree, Trevor. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Shows how stupid the regime operates. They had no ideas. I mean, they should have known better. Yeah, they don't really care about it's all the same to them, and that's right. Yeah, I mean. One of these things was, didn't JD Vance say, look, I'll give you $100 if you make the other people look bad? Like, what the fuck? Dude, what? I'm sure in one of these he said, during the Vanity Fair photo session, Vance cracked, I'll give you $100 for every person you make look really shitty compared to me. And $1,000 if it's Marco. What the fuck? Wild. Absolutely wild. Yeah. Just lastly, right? The other day, going back to Christoper Anderson's profile here, the other day he posted a photograph that he took of Jeffrey Epstein, right? And I'll just quickly read this because this is wild, right? This is wild. Yes, that's Jeffrey Epstein. In 2015, I was assigned to make a portrait of Epstein that accompanied my article. I didn't know much about him, Epstein, other than the fact that he had heavy connections to a powerful man. He wanted to meet me before the shoot to negotiate buying out the pictures after the publication. So, if you're not aware, this is weird, right? This is weird. So, Christopher is being commissioned and paid by New York Mag to go in and grab a portrait of Jeffrey Epstein, right? It's pretty normal stuff. They're obviously writing an article, whatever. They needed somebody to go in, grab a portrait, right? Now, I don't know how much Christopher would have been paid at the time, but a gig like this is not much money, right? It really isn't. A young woman with an Eastern European accent answered the door. This is when he got there to Epstein's office. I would later see the same girl setting up a massage table in the room just off and out of the office, followed quickly by his private security, Leslie Groff. When Epstein arrived, his eyes sized me up like someone always looking for the angles. He quizzed me about my pictures and how the shoot would go and how much I thought my pictures were worth, right? Fine. he said he didn't want anyone else to have the pictures after the magazine publishment, and offered me 20k to own them after publication. It was all the money in the world to me at the time. And like, yeah, right. I mean, I don't know how much he would have been paid by New York Mag at the time, but I mean, it could have been 1,000, could have been $600. You know, it wouldn't have been a ton of money, right? Because you're just going to be there for a couple of hours, grab a couple of snaps. That's it, right? I had a young family and lived basically month to month. He wrote a personal check and handed it to me. The magazine had already given me permission to make such an arrangement, and we made it clear that he wouldn't see any of the pictures until after publication. So this is a caveat here, right, where you're photographing the client and that sort of stuff, and it's usually going to be agreed that, look, you don't get to see them until they're published. This typically makes people a little bit uneasy, as the Trump administration will probably attest to, right? Several days later, he decided to pull out the story and started calling me to demand the pictures. I reiterate that the pictures were not his until after publication, which is what we just said. Then the threat started. He sent a bodyguard driver, Merwin, a massive guy in a long black overcoat and black leather gloves, to my studio to intimidate me. It worked. I mean, it would do, right? You got a young family. Fucking, what we doing here? I'm not saving lives. I'm just grabbing a couple of pictures of some rich dudes. Like, fucking take them. The magazine killed the story too. So I cashed the check, and Merwin came by again to collect the hard drive and make sure I didn't have any more copies of the photos. Today I found the copy of a very old hard drive. Smart guy, man, smart guy. Covering his bases. There is a portrait of Epstein and pictures of him working in 2 different offices in the house. Yes, that's the stuffed tiger. I'll look at them in a second. Took a picture of his desk, and you see an email printed out and exchanged between Epstein and the royal government after concerning payment to Duke and Duchess. So, wild story, man. Absolutely crazy story. This is him in the office. You may have seen from the Epstein files. We have this hideous background in several images. Stuffed tiger, real classy guy. Woody Allen, bloody whatever is the Virgin guy, Branson, Bill Clinton, just real nice, you know. This is this picture that he took on his desk. Remember, this is what, 2015 or something. Oh, this is actually 2011. This says, but this is crazy. So, dear Amanda, I've expressed my concern to you that despite all our concerted efforts, I still remain unpaid. The financial arrangements have been agreed directly between the Duke and the Duchess and I for some 2 months. Yet, from what I understand, there is no place to pay me the 60 grand. Like, it just goes on. Like, what the fuck, man? It's just absolutely wild images, crazy. And what a crazy story. Yeah, I mean, talk about character reference. Then yeah, and look, fair play to Christoper for putting this out there. There's obviously a lot of stuff online at the moment circulating, and look, you can even see this weird, ugly, high pass red channel push thing that he does to skin there as well, right? But yeah, crazy. So by all means, like it or not, go and check out Christoper's work. Oh my god, 20k, take my SD card. I don't know, right? Yeah, I don't think many photographers would stand on their moral high ground after 20k. Yeah, it's just like, fucking take it. Yeah, you see people on Reddit going, oh, my negatives are my soul, and like, mate, if you're doing it as a job, you fucking just sell them in a heartbeat. You're just like, yeah, whatever, just take them. I'll take the 20 grand. That's a sign of a real photographer right there, man. You just fucking take it. Yeah. He's one of those guys who lived 1,000 lives in one at this point. Yeah, it's true, Steph. Yeah, it's true. Anyway, that's enough about that. Obviously, you can look at that in your own time. But yeah, crazy times. And this was fascinating to see unfold. You know, 99% of the people looking at these were non-photographers, and speaking and not knowing anything about Christoper Anderson's work or regime or whatever. And it was just a fascinating series of images that I'm sure will go down in the history for potentially the wrong reasons, right? Yeah. Of course, you do a copy, but no one needs to know. For sure, Kat, right? I mean, if you're talking about a hard drive, 100%, you're getting a copy of that. Like, is this the only copy? Yeah, for sure, yeah.